Hi everyone, this is Crash Me Twice, and today we're back to our mini stick, which had the big issue here. I have to revise my statement which I made in the last video. It is not broken, it was designed that way, and I don't even know what is worse. The design of that part, it sits on a little pedestal on here, that switch, right? Here's the PCB, and it sits on that, call it a standoff or a socket or whatever you want to call it, and it sits on that. So if this part up here would not be removable, you can't take that switch out, because that switch, when you pull them out, has this section down here. So the knob has this kind of a protective bottom part to prevent probably dust in there. So when this one goes on top here, you cannot get this part through the outside, and you cannot remove that switch from the inside because that one is in the way to get the switch by. I tried several ways and I just couldn't get it out. Here are two screws in here. One is here and one is here. And those screws need to be removed to remove that switch. So let's remove those quick. So now we have those two little screws out. Now if you try to remove this button here through the inside, you can't. You don't have enough room to get it out because of what they have created here, this pedestal. You just can't get by. Now if they would have this designed a little bit different so that this switch could be removed from the inside, all of this would not have been this much of a problem to integrate that top part. But because of it, you can't get this down. Because it's not just about the switch. It is, you will have to remove the switch with that head. And that's the problem. Because you cannot even get the head then through with the switch, even if you pop it off, because you can't get it out, you know. So if you have the head on it, you cannot get it through. And you will need to get it through. This is not removable. So that's why they made it the way they did. That was the only solution. And you can clearly see on here, if you look very closely, you can see the residue of the glue. So this part was just glued on. And of course they cannot use some kind of a strong adhesive like super glue, because you will never be able to get this out. I mean, in one way or the other, it shouldn't have to be that way, but if you need to service that, besides the fact that you have to remove 2 tons of the hot glue, I can see that, but this is just crazy. All in all, there was so much hot glue in here, in the entire grip, that it took me close to 2 hours to remove all of it. That shouldn't have to be. I mean, no wonder this grip is so expensive. I had to buy a pound of hot glue for each one. Alright, so now I'm gonna just show you quick the switch so you know how that looks like. Here you go. So if any of you guys have the same problem, maybe you can find a compatible switch. This is just a board, it's probably from them, but the switch, I don't know what you can fit in here. This is how it looks from the inside, empty. Okay, so we're talking about a board can fit in there with about 25 millimeter, because you have to get it through here. So a 25 millimeter in diameter would fit through that hole. So if you want to install a different switch or a different mini stick, like from a PlayStation or whatever, you have to make sure that the whole assembly is not more than 25 millimeter. I'm gonna see if I can make a drawing of that board to put it on my website. This way somebody could probably manage something with mounting solutions in that little casing. I'm not gonna fix it, because if I glue this in, I would use a really good glue and it will probably never come out, and I really don't need it because, well, as I said before, I'm gonna build a grip. So I just wanted to show you what happened here. So here you go. Here's the switch, 2 tiny screws. They're 9 millimeter, 9.5, and those screws are what? They're 2 millimeter screws. Okay, so now we're gonna fix it. So we're gonna start with our mini stick housing. And you can see here, I already scraped almost all of the glue off. I used just a sharp little flathead screwdriver and went all around it and scraped off whatever I could. So now this part sits nicely back in here. Now I prepared a Dremel with a 1.3 millimeter drill. And I have here 4 little screws. One is self-threading, this one here, it's pointy, and the other ones are not, but they're all coarse for plastic. That came from my screw bin, and I need the pointy one to start a thread so I can get the other ones in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill exactly where this meets. So what this little gap is around here, this is where I'm going to drill. One here and one here. Because we got a little bit of extra here. So if we drill right in here, we will grab something. Grab some material to get this in. So we have to really hold it tight. Like so. And now you can see here, we're inside that wall here. There's not much material there, but I think that's about as good as it gets here. And now we should be able to get one of those ones in here. As you can see, the screws in just nicely. And now this will hold that in place because it now goes over it. But to make this a little bit prettier, before we put the next screw in here, I have here a fatter drill, which we will be using as a chamfer. Now we don't want to go wild on that, because otherwise we're going to have a giant hole in there which we cannot use. But if you see it now, we chamfered a little bit, and now one of the other screws should go pretty much flat in there. Of course I could also use a chamfer, but I don't think I have such a small chamfer to do this. Don't over tighten it, but here it is. And you can see when you look from the side here, it grabs both. It grabs that outside and that little cap. And now it's flat. Now we're going to do this on that side. Now we're going to put our self-cutting screw in here, like so. You don't want to over tighten that too brutal, because otherwise you're going to rip the thread out, because this is just some thin plastic there. And now put our self-cutting screw back in here. And just be very gentle. It's very thin plastic. You do not want to ruin this. Back out. And put one of those ones in here. Alright, now we are in there, and this is pretty tight. And now we're going to put one right into here. Alright, we just want to make sure we don't go too deep so we don't come out on this side. And here we are. There's this one in here too. And now, this is tight in here and can't go nowhere. Now we can reinstall our switch, and we can take this out, access our switch, And I'm not going to hot glue this puppy back in there, just going to screw it down. And that's it. So we take those screws out. We know those two here are from this side. Fairly simple procedure. Now we install the switch here, like so. I got my two screws here, which came out from that switch. Let's put this aside. And make sure you don't screw them in without going backwards a half round first, so you don't ruin the thread in there. Okay, looks like we are in now. Now we're gonna put our knob on here. The switch is not going anywhere. It's very tight in here. There's no need for hot glue in here. Now we're gonna put this one over our button like so. Gonna go from the bottom up and bring this over the button. We put it where we need it to be. Press down on it. Hold it. See, I go a little back and then I go in. This way I go in the same thread. And don't cut a new one. And you do this 3 times and there's no thread left. But that's it. Okay, so now we have again a nice little mini stick and it's working again. Easy fix. The new Virpil Alpha Prime has screws in them. So they obviously realized that this is a common thing. So here you go. Okay, and here we go. Now we have 3 screws in here holding that plate in place and everything works again, right? And that's it for today. So next time we're gonna make an awesome cup holder for the sim pit, and that video is coming soon. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. Don't forget to check out my Discord channel and visit my website at crashmetwice.com for more info on this and other projects. And if you would like to support this channel, you can buy me a nice cup of coffee from the link below or on my website. I hope you all enjoyed this video and hope I earned a like from you. Crash Me Twice, out.